Howdy, folks. I'd first like to apologize for the late review for the Oilers game, but I think you'll forgive me as there's not too much to talk about. And because there's not too much to talk about, I'll allow myself to get into a bit of a tangent on why it took so late. I got home late from the game last night, and then I had church this morning, and then there was the Super Bowl, but I didn't really care for it. Not that I don't like football. I actually haven't this year. Part of that is because I'm a Broncos fan, but another part of it is because I think the product's gotten really bad. So that's more of a different kind of video. But also, I don't care for either team. The Chiefs are a division rival, and I don't like the 49ers either. But I really like Andy Reid, and Brock Purdy seems like a super cool dude. But yeah, I don't like either team. I respect both of them, but I don't care for either one of them. In fact, at the restaurant I was with, not with the restaurant I was at, there was a smaller TV by the big TV. The big TV was playing the Super Bowl, and there was a bunch of other TVs that were playing the Super Bowl. But there was this one small TV that was playing. I don't know what the league was called, but it was a competition for tractors and trucks and their ability to pull weight, and I was actually quite interested in that. I watched that more than the Super Bowl. I was mostly paying attention to the food on the table and talking with friends on Instagram or talking with my dad, who I was at the game with. But yeah, I can't. This was probably the first Super Bowl since I started watching them that I didn't really care for. Whatever. Anyways, the video is the Oilers game review, not a Super Bowl review or any of that. As you probably already know, whether from the title or having saw the score earlier, LA Kings beat the Oilers for nothing, which sucked. Obviously, it sucked from the anthem and straight through because I'm not a fan of the anthem singer. She's incredibly talented, and I'm sure if I heard her with some other songs, I'd appreciate her talent. But to me, when she sings the anthem, it feels more of a like she's trying to present her voice rather than sing the anthem, and then it sounds bad and like she's overdoing it. Anyways, and I'm not a big fan of Hunter Ryan Singh commentating Oilers games either. He seems like a super nice guy, and you can tell he's excited to commentate the game, which is good. But it just feels like he's not quite ready for the NHL. He's not nearly as exciting or entertaining as a lot of the other announcers. And part of it, I admit, is my opinion will be skewed because the regular Oilers commentator is Jack Michaels, who I consider one of, if not the most exciting announcers in the league. But I hope Singh gets better, not just for my sake, but because he seems like a really cool dude. Anyways, again, the review is about how the Oilers played, and there's not much compliments there. They weren't dominated or anything, and they weren't like playing horrendous. They played well, but not well enough, and they seemed content on giving away the puck on a play and then trying that play again and then giving away out the puck again and not changing it up too much. So that's not good or cool. I would say there wasn't really any lines that played well. The Draisaitl line with Kane and Perry was the best forward line. That was the case the day before because for good reasons, because Kane scored 3 goals. But it was the best today because it wasn't the worst. It was the least bad. I actually thought CC and Kulak were our best line. Now, they weren't playing the best competition, but they were the only line that didn't have noticeable hiccups while they were out, which is not something I could say for most of the players. And McDavid was the most noticeable. Part of that is because you notice McDavid when he has the puck, so his mistakes are magnified, but he did have more mistakes today than you would usually expect. Same goes for Draisaitl. So the game started out with Kings not quite dominating, but controlling the pace of the game in the first period. But Skinner kept us in it, but he couldn't keep up their heroics for the next 40 minutes. So even though the Oilers actually outshot the Kings in the next 40 minutes with the total shots throughout the game being tied at 26, the Kings had better high quality chances, more high quality chances, at least looking at it and watching it, and Oilers couldn't keep it out of their net, and Rittich could. Rittich had a good game. It was probably one of the easier shutouts you will ever get against the McDavid Oilers, but getting a shutout against anybody is very impressive. So there's no hate on him. I've enjoyed hating on him when he was on Calgary, and I was looking forward to hating on him now that he's on the Kings, but he had a good game. And when I say hating on him, just more of him as a rival. I'm sure he could be a very good person. I've never met him, but Calgary fans call him Big Save Dave, and by the end of his time there, I was happy to change that to No Save Dave. Well, unfortunately for us, Big Save Dave is back. So far, it could be a little concerning for the Kings that you're relying on Rittich more and more, but so far so good. Rittich has done very well in backing up Talbot, but again, so good for him, and good for the Kings as long as this lasts. Hopefully, for my sake, not too long. But again, respect is due. They played a good game, most notably on the penalty kill. Now, shutting down the Oilers' power play doesn't mean you're going to win the game. The Oilers didn't lose today because they couldn't score on the power play, but they couldn't get back in the game because they weren't scoring on the power play either. Of the 4 power plays they had, 3 of them were pretty awful, and one of them was good, but Rittich made some big saves. He did have one really incredible save. He had quite a few exceptional saves, but there was one of special note, which I'm sure you can find a highlight of if you'd like. I don't, for copyright's sake, but I don't show you it, but I'm sure you could find it if you wanted to. Maybe you don't want to if you're an Oilers fan like me. You don't want to see it again. You're like, yeah, once was enough. But anyway, so yeah, there's not much complimenting here for the Oilers, but there's reason to be positive because even though that game really gives the Kings a chance again in the standings and reduces ours more than I thought it would, the Oilers are still a winning team. The Oilers didn't play a horrendously bad game. It was just bad or just not good. It wasn't bad, it was just not good. And the Kings played good. So, Kings won. And handedly, which for their new coach, that's one heck of a way to win over your fan base when you beat your rival handedly and convincingly on your first game. So, the Oilers, their next opponent is the Red Wings, who have been winning a bit more lately. Red Wings aren't good at controlling the game, so I expect the Oilers to heavily outshoot the Red Wings as they did in our last matchup. But the Red Wings are talented enough to still win when that happens. And Alex Lyon, Lyon has been very good. I mean, in most of his starts, including the one against us, he was very good. Just wasn't quite good enough. As a goalie, I kind of felt bad for him when we beat him because he tried so hard to give the Red Wings a chance. But anyways, so that's what's next as of right now for the Oilers. 3 stars. I chose. It was hard and for not good reasons. First star was Skinner because he kept us in it in the first period, and then the next 2 was CC and Kulak. I put CC ahead of Kulak because he was more physical, but it could have gone either way. And like I said earlier, they weren't exactly playing the strongest competition the Kings had to offer, so it was a bit easier for them, sure, but at least they were consistently good through all of their minutes, which wasn't the case for everyone else, which again is easier to do when you're playing less minutes, but it's not like they were playing 10 minutes. They still played 15 minutes and were good. But good on them. There was a lot of lineup changes during the game. I mean, not throughout the game, but the lineups we saw weren't the ones we're used to. Sorry, I'm stuttering. I guess it's late tonight. Bouchard and Ekholm were still together, and then Nurse and Desharnais was their second game together, and CC and Kulak, as previously mentioned, were together. CC and Kulak seemed like a good third pairing so far, 2 games in. Nurse and Desharnais had a great game against Anaheim, and they had a less than impressive game against LA. I think part of that isn't entirely them, but more as a team. But again, that's 2 games in. Ekholm and Bouchard weren't that impressive either, but we know what they're capable of. My friend, when we were talking about why the Oilers are changing up the defense when they are our top 10 defense, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But he quoted Scotty Bowman, which is always a good idea to do, and he said, and Scotty Bowman said, not word for word, but he said it's good that you build chemistry with with your players, that your players build chemistry together, so that by the time of the playoffs, however you got to shake up the lineup, or when injuries come, they know how to play their game with whoever they're with. Bouchard is best with Ekholm, obviously, but you want him. But if Ekholm goes down in the playoffs, because injuries happen a ton of playoffs, especially for defensemen, you want to make sure that Bouchard can still be Bouchard, regardless of who his defensive partner is. Of course, it'll be easier with Ekholm for him than anyone else, but you want to make sure that if he's playing with Nurse, Desharnais, or CC, he can still be an effective defenseman. And so I think that's another reason for a lot of the changes. Another reason possible that my dad brought up is trade reasons. You want to see if you can shake it up and like perhaps CC, for example, he's playing less minutes, so you're trying to see how reliant your defense is on CC and that kind of stuff. But that's a different video, which I probably won't touch on because it's talked about a lot. Now, if I will, if necessary, there's other things I think will be more interesting to talk about. Trade rumors are just that, they're rumors, so I'll just leave it till they're real and not just rumors. And so, but yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you leave a like and a comment and even subscribe would be great. I appreciate that. I hope I've earned that from you. But until then, until the next video, have a good one, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.